about yourself and your teaching career.
I have been here at Camden County High School for 21 years as a special ed teacher. I've worked in the 9th grade math department for most of those 21 years. I've worked with the coordinate algebra EOC class for most of those years as well. And I'm looking forward to learning as much as I can about technology.
So, Debbie, when you think about your lesson, your involvement in your lessons, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the worst lesson you've ever taught and 10 being the best, how would you rank your current lessons in your coordinate algebra classes that we've talked about? Okay,
so I work with a co-teacher and we bounce off each other. I would have to say in the beginning of my career, I probably had worst case scenario, just trying to go through the learning process of collaborating and also being an older teacher with deficits in technology. So I'm excited about learning with Katie. Now I bounce off the co-teacher as far as we pick different areas and we teach different areas, up in front of the classroom, and then we bounce off each other with group work.
So 1 to 10, you think you're doing 1 being the worst, 10 being the best?
I would give myself probably some growing room, but I would put myself at a 7. I feel pretty confident with the curriculum, but I would love to learn more about differentiating and helping students.
Awesome. Excellent. So what pleases you about your lesson, about what you're doing currently in the classroom?
Just the confidence of the knowledge of the curriculum. I did not do well in math as a younger student, so I understand their stresses and their frustrations, which I think makes me a better teacher. Yeah. And I want to try any and every way to try to hit all areas for the students, since they all learn in different levels.
Yeah, so we're talking about your content knowledge. So I'll kind of introduce you to something called TPAC, which is technological, pedagogical, and content knowledge, and how we tie those things together. So you know what should work, right? Pedagogy is our education knowledge, and our content knowledge, like you're strong in that, and then we'll kind of learn how to weave that technology. I'm kind of bored you answered this, but what would you change to move the lesson closer to a 10?
Exactly what you just said, to be able to incorporate more of what the kids know nowadays. They are so technology oriented, and I just need to try to keep up with the age.
Okay, so then again, what would your students be doing differently if your class was a 10?
If it was a 10, I think we would be adding more more things to do, more learning. Let's see. We wouldn't just be doing lecture. We would adding more differentiation in our lessons.
Good. Being able to provide different things for different students based on their needs. Yeah. So tell me more about what you would like that to look like.
I would like to be confident in not having to be one day ahead of them. Sometimes I feel like they're ahead of me and I have to ask them how to do things. I would like to be that person that they can go to. I also want their level of stress to be minimized by the fact that they have the knowledge to do that, and they have access, and they can independently go to their Google Classrooms or lessons via the Chromebook, and they feel confident, and they're less apt to have to feel like they have to.
Good. So you're mentioning Google Classroom, definitely a tool that we use here, definitely a really powerful tool for being able to provide that differentiation. So do you want that to be your goal, to be able to provide a Google Classroom space for those students?
Yes, being a special ed teacher, we have a Google Classroom set up in there with the whole class, but again, we have a different level of kids that aren't quite on the level. So I think it would be a great opportunity for those kids to get extra strategies, interventions to help them increase their grades. And,
Yeah, I think that would definitely be a great place to start with with technology integration, is being able to provide those supports. That sounds. If you could hit that goal of being able to provide supports and interventions on Google Classroom for your students and for all the students in the class, would it really matter to you?
I think that would make me a more effective teacher, which, that should be every teacher's goal, is to be, I'm never at the top, I'm always learning. So I'm just like the kids. So I feel like anytime I can get better myself, it's going to better my teaching.
And I mean, I know that about you, that what the kids feel and their comfort and their knowledge and you being successful in that does matter to you. It hits your heart at home, like you're here for these babies, and I know that about you. So I know that would really matter to you. So what kind of strategies could we use to hit your goal? Like what we talk about, that technology device, right, is that we're talking about Google Classroom, and that would be that T in the TPAC, weaving that in. But you already have all these pedagogical skills, like about, things that you should be doing to help students with differentiation. So how could we use the technology to help bring that in?
So I'm going to just throw myself under the bus a little bit, just to share who I am as a person. We talk about my students and how I want to build their confidence and self-esteem. Well, Debbie Cox, as a teacher, needs her confidence and self-esteem built as an educator in the technology realm, because I didn't grow up with what they're growing up with. So in order for me to stay effective, then I need to learn it. So I'm thankful for this opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm really glad to be working with you. I think that you have a great attitude about, what you're calling your deficits in technology, and you're aware and willing and ready to tackle that. And I think that's like the absolute best first step. So what do we think our next steps need to be? What do we need to do? What do we need to start with? What would you, if I told you to create a Google Classroom, could you do that?
No.
Okay, so then first steps, we're gonna start from, so then that needs to be our first steps, right?
Yeah.
So starting from ground zero, we're gonna dig into Google Classroom, and so we will set aside a date next week. Okay, and we'll sit down and we will create a Google Classroom together, and I will show you and help you build that Google Classroom skeleton, okay, as co-teachers, so that you can add things and see what it looks like when you add things, but that I can also add things and you can see from the other side what it looks like when someone else puts something up there, so that you can kind of see what the kids see and know from their side too. So I think that's a really good start.
I'm excited.
Me too. I'm ready. You ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you.